Kept nipping the tube and everything because they've got inner tubes in them.
Well, yeah.
For fuck's sake. All right. Yeah.
I haven't got a list.
You don't need a list. So, welcome to the first of our... We don't know what we're going to call them, but it's workshop chats, isn't it? It's stuff we've been doing.
Sheds.
Garage chat.
There's 3 options. It's stuff we've been doing in the garages. This is BikeSocial by Bennett's. I'm John Milbank. I'm the consumer editor. I'm introduce you to Steve Lamb, our production manager. And this is John Mansfield. He's one of the BikeSocial test team. This is his ZZR 1100. And it was knackered, wasn't it?
It was pretty run down, to be honest with you. Yeah, it was on it. Well, it's always been on its last legs a little bit.
Always.
Yeah, pretty much. But we put a new shock on it, and ever since then, it's been so much better now.
Yeah. Well, it was a shock we were doing recently, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the first thing we kind of found was the ABBA stand is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, really good. We got one at work actually.
I should say John's a bike instructor, so obviously they're constantly fixing bikes that get slammed down the road. Dropped in a car park.
Yeah. They've kissed more time out than the Pope. Really.
I was reading some stuff up about them, and there was a couple of people going, "Oh, it's a faff, isn't it?" It's like, in this garage, I ain't got that much space.
It was really easy.
Yeah, and I have the bike on it, and I can move it from one side to the other while I'm working on the side of it, and it's awesome. But anyway, so first thing we learned, as you started to strip the back end of your bike out, is that not cleaning chain lube off is an excellent rust protectant.
Yeah, it was actually. It was quite amazing. It was well preserved. It was like Pompeii.
Well, you're doing what? What was it? You said 10,000 miles a year.
Yeah, about 1,000 a month, give or take.
Is there anything you don't ride in?
Snow, ice.
But even then, I suppose you have to sometimes.
Yeah, but if it's that bad, we don't work anyway, so I'd only get a snow day.
Yeah.
So it's all right.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, if it's snowing, I can't really.
How old's this?
30 years old next year.
And how many miles has it done?
50,000.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's well loved. But it was, we stripped it out and it come apart really easy, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, cosmetically it's a bit poor, but underneath the skin, everything's lubed on it. I grease everything and keep it all serviced.
Talking about greasing it, so we were going to change the
Bearings.
That's it. we were talking about greasing it. We were going to grease the linkage bearings, weren't we? But you've got grease nipples on this. Why?
It has, yeah.
Yeah. Why are they red? Why?
I've no idea. The best thing ever, really. Because because when I first got it, I think I mentioned before, it had seized when I first got it. So all I did was just got a grease. Well, your grease gun actually.
Oh yeah.
I think there's about 7 of them under there. Greased them all, and after riding it for a few miles, it's sort of bouncing up and down. It sort of freed itself off, and that's how I left it really. Then when we took it apart. Last week
fixed it by just
basically, I just greased them and it just didn't seem to do the job. When we took them apart, they were still in good condition and they were still the grease was still in there, and they came out fine and they looked all right. They hadn't fallen apart or anything like that.
We did it. Well, we'll get to that, but I mean, it is packing sort of grease to fix that it's not as bad actually, is it? As that Dominator I had, where the bloke who'd owned it before me was riding it and it seized. He's like, bloody hell, it's seized. So he waited a minute, started up, good, and rode off again.
It's unseized.
So I've got that piston, and you can see the crack in the piston where that's been changed. But I had a WR 250, and that was proper knackered, the linkage bearings. They were just solid rust. So yeah, I mean, it's weight, isn't it? That's why they don't put them on there. They save weight.
But I just don't understand why you wouldn't put them on there. I mean, they can't be that expensive to put them on, but it's just so much better, isn't it? I mean,
I can only think price or maybe structural integrity. If they're making linkages and everything as light as possible, maybe.
I can't see it being that.
It's price, isn't it?
It's only that big, isn't it?
They just want you to take it back to the dealer and have it.
I guess so.
Serviced
Yeah, I guess
rather
so.
than
When you lift the
maintain it
bonnet on a
yourself.
modern car,
Well,
it's
it
just a
gives you
big
something fun
plastic
to
cover
do.
in it.
Yeah. Greasy nipples. For winter's evening.
So yeah, another thing we found, I'm just running through as we took things apart. One of the things we found, we couldn't get one of the sockets in there, could we? On the getting inside, and we were using normal hex sockets. And we found using the star socket. It's actually if you've got both.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I always
right.
think, I tend to use one set of sockets, but the stars gave us that just extra degree.
Well,
of
a normal
movement.
socket, you've only got 6 positions it can go on, and with a hex socket, you've got
more.
probably twice as many, 3 times as many, haven't you? Yeah.
That's it, because we were trying to get the breaker bar in there, weren't we?
Yeah, that's
couldn't
right.
get the breaker bar.
We only have about
Oh,
that
I
much
see.
movement on it.
Yeah.
So you can only do it about that much at a time.
Yeah.
And with the hex on it, it was either there or there, and you couldn't.
Yeah,
it
because
wouldn't-
it's really the shock's really tucked up inside on this bike, isn't it?
It's well. When you look at modern bikes, you've got the swing arm, and the shock's it's right in front of you there, but it's buried down, and it's got all sorts of linkages on the bottom rather than just being. A lot of them just go straight on the swing arm, don't they? I suppose, but. Yeah, it's well hidden in there, but with the back wheel out, you can sort of see it. And with it was the stand that made it, really, without the stand.
Well, because we had it up there.
Yeah, you'd be crawling around on the floor without it.
We did also use a ratchet with a massive bar clamped to it, which don't use a ratchet with a massive breaker bar attached to it because you'll knacker the ratchet. But it was an old ratchet, and we didn't knacker it, did we?
No, it was fine.
We'd taken I think we managed to break the initial torque with the breaker bar because we got it on in place, and then we just couldn't get it back in to do it again. So then we put the ratchet on with a massive lump of metal clamped onto it and just got it off that way.
Fine.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, expect to break your ratchets.
It's an old one. Yeah.
So linkage bearings, we said, they're as likely to cause handling problems as a shock, really, aren't they? Because you can
very much so.
think you've got an knackered shock, change shock, and it still works.
Well, the linkages move more than the shock moves.
Yeah.
Really. So if they're seized, it's just going to sit and just bounce. Yeah. It's not going to move around like it should at all.
No, and it was 30 odd quid, I think, for the bearings. So really, while you're doing the shock and you're stripping that out, it's
a no-brainer, really. Yeah, absolute no-brainer.
And that's where we got to use the handmade tools, wasn't it? So I've got a
press.
Yeah, yes. I made a press out of a threaded rod and washers, and we just pressed the bearings out to kind of try the difference. We hammered out, didn't we? It's just brutal.
It does feel a bit. Yeah, it does feel a bit brutal, really. The threaded rod was by far the best way of doing it. So just because you can just control it, can't you? If you're whacking it.
Yeah.
Whacking them out, I suppose you're going to ditch them anyway, but not whacking them in. You just feel a little bit. Unless you get the socket bang on the right point, you're going to end up damaging the bearings, aren't you? Really.
Yeah. And pushing them back in, all we did was if you find a socket just under the size of the bearing and just press it in with the socket.
Yeah, it's much better.
Didn't leave them in the freezer. No, didn't need to.
That's a good point.
Think of that.
Or warm up the linkage in the oven.
The old way. Just keep the bearings in the freezer overnight, just to make them that tiny bit smaller.
Yeah, that's a good point. We didn't think of that.
Didn't think of that.
No. That's a good call.
Whacked them in.
Put them in the freezer.
Yeah.
But no, with the press, they did go in fine. But I've done wheel bearings sometimes where I haven't got a socket that was just right. So I'll get the old bearings out.
Yes.
Grind the outsides of those and then use them as a press. Don't use the old bearing, push it, and then now I've got two bearings because you ain't going to get the other one out again. What's your aversion to rubber gloves?
I don't know. I feel a bit sinister. Don't like them. I don't know why. I don't like them. They make my hands sweat. I don't know.
Another thing that we could have just avoided it and not shown it, but you hung your brake caliper. You always hang your brake caliper on a bit of wire.
Yeah.
It's not what braided brake lines are for.
Yes, isn't it? Oh. that's a myth they bulge, isn't it? It's just you can hang them up, they won't break. No, you shouldn't hang your caliper. You should hang your caliper
with a
up.
bit of wire.
Yeah.
And one thing we learnt twice, wasn't it? Was if in doubt, just have a break. You were saying about this today, weren't you, Steve?
Yeah.
Just step back.
Yeah, step back, have a cup of tea, have a cigarette, have a quick look on the internet. Just gather your thoughts. Just see if you really are going the right direction.
Well, what were you doing then?
Reread it. Just numerous things. If it feels wrong, normally it is.
Well, yeah.
Just have a quick read.
That applies to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Just have a break and think about it. Maybe there's a different way of approaching it.
Yeah. Well, we had it where what was it? It was
the swing arm.
There was something. Well, it was fouled, wasn't it? There was the torque bar. We couldn't get one of the bolts out, and we put it in or something, hadn't we? We're like, it's not going to work. And we're there like a good 5 minutes, weren't we? Going,
this is because this is here, and the exhaust is here.
So how the hell did you put that on?
Not sure.
Unless there's just at just the right angle, it'll just. No. How easy is to drop the torque on?
Exhaust is here.
Yeah.
So not that easy.
All right, do it back. It went on, so it'll come back off.
You reckon?
Yeah. Do the bolt back up again.
I can't see where the bolt for the torque arm is. Is it under here? Oh, it's under here, look, with a split pin on it.
Oh, right. So why doesn't the torque arm rock? rotate? What's stopping it from rotating? Ah!
Cut that.
Then it was putting the shock in when it was like, don't line up.
Yeah.
Shock's the wrong length.
Yeah.
Don't line up, it's too short.
Apparently the arm swings.
Who would have thought it?
Who'd have thought? You don't want it bottoming out, do you? But what's it been like since you put the new shock in? So it's a YSS shock. I mean, actually, we should say, shouldn't we, that you needed a new shock. So you looked on eBay, hadn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw one on there as well, and it was cheaper.
There was a couple of second-hand ones, but of course the problem is with second-hand ones, you just got no idea what you're getting. Have you? You could be.
Well, it's going to be as old as this.
Exactly. It's just
So it's going to be.
yeah.
And how much was the Kawasaki one? It was.
It was £900 or something.
Oh.
I think it was £900. Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, they have
Well,
stock
great,
them,
if
and
you
it's
want one,
old, and
yeah,
but they know. But the YSS. So how's it handled since?
It's because because the rear shock was so knackered. It's raised the back end up now,
Right.
and so it's
You can adjust the ride height on this, so can't you?
I've adjusted it right down as far as it
okay,
will go.
cool.
It's on its lowest setting. So it's jacked it up, which has made me have to twiddle with the front a little bit, but that's just no big deal. Just sort of hard, just stiffen the front end up a little bit because it's loaded up the front tyre a bit more. But it was tending to sort of understeer a little bit. When you're going around roundabouts, you can feel the front try to wash away, but that seems to have cured it now. But no, I mean it's so much better.
Is it?
It's so much better. It just does what it's supposed to do. We're going to have speed humps and all that sort of thing. It's just it doesn't. It used to just clatter all the time.
Yeah.
And just like smack over speed humps like that. But now it does it properly.
It was. You could feel there was no damping or anything there, was there?
There was nothing. It was just you could hear the air puffing out of it when we were pushing it up and down.
Well, that's the point actually, wasn't it? Because it had a remote reservoir.
Yeah,
we hadn't
there,
really
yeah.
twigged. There's a remote reservoir underneath, and we couldn't get the bastard out. We were going to have to strip everything out.
Yeah.
And we looked at it and it's definitely knackered. And I think there was a pressure release valve on it, wasn't there? So we
There's
checked
a little valve
that.
on there, like a little tire valve on there.
Yeah, checked that, and there didn't seem to be any pressure release. So
Nothing,
both like that. As you just cut the hose,
Cut the hose.
and it's fine.
Yeah.
Don't cut the hose, or because you go, oh, just unscrew it. Like, it might go under pressure, but it's fine.
Yeah, sounds like
But talking about the how it's handling now, you've had this. You were at Bruntingthorpe, weren't you, when we did that Nikon day? And you got what did you get out of this?
An indicated 170.
Cool. And you were at was it Mallory Park?
It was Mallory Park.
Yeah, I was on GSXS 750, and you took this around Mallory Park, and I'm not that quick, but you were proper going. I couldn't keep up with you. I was just behind him all the time. Thinking,
Maybe better now. It's got a decent shock on it.
yeah.
That was on the old
Yeah,
shock.
make me feel worse
It
then.
was wallowing around pretty bad.
Oh yeah, right. Thanks. So I was on a brand new GSXS 750. But the point is, when we the last bolt we took out of the linkage, so the one that attaches the bottom of the linkage to the frame,
Yeah.
you were saying, "Oh, it's turning. That's weird."
Yeah, it doesn't feel very tight.
Yeah.
There's no knot on the end of it.
No nut.
Pulled it out. It wasn't no thread sticking out either. It had literally the whole thing had sheared, and the bolt and the sticky out bit of thread was missing.
Well, the
So
nut
just
and
pulled
sticking
it
out
out.
bit of thread. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sorry, yeah,
all
yeah.
you
so
did
it's just
literally
been
just.
acting like a pivot.
Well, it's just
Or
the
just a
weight
free
of the
pivot
bike
all the
that was
time.
holding it on there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is a
But
bit
that was
scary.
100. Yeah. Track day, 170 mile an hour. Right. Well, and that how long ago? Well, how long have you had the bike?
3.5 years.
And how many miles? So you would have done a good 30 odd thousand miles since then, and it's
Yeah.
just been. But the only way we can see it's happened because, I mean, it's near the exhaust, so it's obviously prone to getting really hot and dry. But the only way it's gone is somebody sheared that,
Yeah.
Must have done.
and they've because you can see
You
that it's
can't
sheared.
just fall off.
No,
can
you can see it. You see it sheared off, so it's not like it's gone. Oh, it's just fallen off. Somebody sheared that and gone. Ah, yeah. And the only way you could have done it was by over tightening it, shearing it. And
Yeah.
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 Just
Yeah.
leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Probably
if
sad
that
to
was
say
you.
yeah. He's coming for you. But so what you went up to, Steve?
Apart from changing jobs, so recently started at BikeSocial for Bennett's. I'm still trying to find some time to build my little SR125 project tracker. So a little bit of history on this. I bought it from John
Bargain.
three or 4 years ago. Was it November 15? We trailered it back from your house.
Yeah. Yes, we will see.
Stripped it down. Had all the
You
enthusiasm.
had it in
as
the
you
kitchen,
do.
didn't you?
I did have it in the
Yeah,
kitchen.
you had it in the kitchen. Yeah. We didn't run it in the kitchen, did we? We ran it in the garden.
You didn't run.
Um,
Oh, no, it didn't
Yeah,
run.
yeah,
No,
it
it
did.
didn't
Yeah,
run.
yeah.
I wasn't
Stop
selling any
it.
old
It was an
crap.
old school bike, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't an old school bike. No, I bought it off. I got it off a bloke I'd worked with. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So obviously, all full of enthusiasm. Took me about 2 weeks to strip it all down to component part. Everything was bagged, labelled, ready for refurbishment, and that was 3 years ago. It's still in boxes in various parts of the garage. I've moved house since then. You've moved house twice probably since then.
Yeah. I have.
Changed jobs. A lot's changed, so now is time really to pull it out. So it's a rolling chassis at the moment. I've got wheels on, got tyres on, welded the chassis. We did a welding course in Peterborough, bit of MIG, bit of TIG, bit of stick welding, which was good. So I cut the back end of the frame off, welded a nice hoop on, as everybody does, to get it into a sort of street tracker brat style. At the moment, everything's just being painted in with brushes and hammerite. It's a real low budget,
It looks good.
cheap as chips project. The whole idea was to do it as cheaply as possible. It was a cheap bike to start with. I'm not going for fancy powder coating, not going for custom graphics and custom paint jobs. It's just going to be a shed build, really. Painted the wheels, painted the shocks. Haven't really changed anything major out on it so far. And then it's really just shopping on eBay. So I sold a load of stuff on eBay, the panels and various bits of the bike that I didn't need. Got some good prices. Seats go very well for old SRs because most of them are ripped and torn.
Yeah.
So good condition seats are quite rare on there.
Did that go quick?
That went really quickly. Yeah, I had a
Yeah, I
chap
suppose it
come
would.
from locally, just from Cambridgeshire, and while he was here, he had a good old rummage through the box and bought a load of other stuff. So that was good.
Didn't you say that one of the side panels is worth a lot more than the other?
Yeah, rather strangely. So there's two little side panels. One has got, I think one's on the air filter side. And so I listed them separately. One went for about £15, the other went for 45, and I can't make out why. It was just massively in demand. I had like 15 bids for one and about 2 for the other one. It was the right-hand one. So
The right hand one that was more expensive?
yeah.
That's the toolkit's on the left, isn't it? I can't remember. The battery's on
them. Yeah.
Oh, well, there.
So strange.
And are you going to fabricate 2 more side panels? You're going to leave
No,
them?
I'm going to leave it all nice and
So you can see
open, so
through.
you just see through the frame. Keep it as minimal as possible. I'm going to try
The
and
rear
hide.
pegs you took off?
Yeah, took the pegs off. I've got some nice little metal pegs like your rear ones, but they don't really fit it at the moment. So I'm going to get some more tracker style.
What about a front mudguard?
The existing one I've just cut down. Cut it. It
Are
covered.
they plastic?
Yeah, they're plastic. Yeah, just a plastic one. So unriveted it. Cut the ends off so that it's only covering a tiny little bit. Gaiters on the forks. All the stuff that you're seeing online now that people are doing with trackers, really. But it's all really cheap eBay parts. It's all Chinese rubbish. Really cheap.
Is it rubbish?
Some of it's all right. Some of it is rubbish.
Oh.
Yeah, some of it
Oh,
is.
right.
Some of it is pretty poor. The handlebars flaked all the paint flaked off on the first use, so I rubbed
paint
all
that
those
came on.
down. Rubbed it all down and
On
repainted
first
it.
use,
all.
you haven't ridden on it. You
No, I
haven't
meant
ridden
the
it.
first
touching them as you take them out.
Do the yoke nuts up, and as you
Oh, what, brand new ones?
just adjust them, all the paint flaked
What, new
off.
ones?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. God.
yeah. So I stripped all the paint off there, and it was like it was almost like a chromed finish that had painted over.
Oh,
it wasn't chromed, but it was
Yeah.
like a really shiny metal finish.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do about the
So-
clock speedo?
I bought a little speedo. It was one of the cheaper ones that I could find, and then when it arrived, I realised it was in kilometres an hour. So that's why it's cheap. But I'm just going to put some little stickers on it.
Is it a little chrome one? One of them little.
Yeah, just a little chrome one.
Can you get it apart?
3 warning lights in there. I might try and take it
Oh, okay.
apart and reprint a
Because we could
face
do a
for
really
it.
cool. Or we could do something that we think's really cool.
Is it like a neutral light eye beam and an indicator? And
Yeah, that's all it
and it's
is.
just going to wire
Yeah.
straight to the existing loom. Is that easy enough? It's all
It
crammed in behind
comes-
the headlight, isn't
It's
it?
got a socket on the back of the speedo,
Yeah.
and then like a little mini loom that just non-terminated wires just to plug in.
Okay.
So then you can either crimp the wires off to go into the existing loom, or just cut the multi-connector off the loom and hardwire it in.
Nice one.
So I was just going to try and get another multi-connector.
Leave the switch gear and the levers as they are. Or?
Yeah, switch gear and levers. I've got some. I put some little black levers on. All the switch gear stayed as. Really, a lot of the stuff it's just taking it apart, cleaning it, lubricating it. Fasteners have been a bit of a problem. A lot of the fasteners are just made of cream cheese, so they've just rounded
Yeah, I
over
suppose
as
so.
soon as you try and undo them. And there's some really weird little sizes, lots of M5 and
No, is there?
weird sizes. So that'll be
Was
that'll be fun sourcing those.
Was it that bike that you bought that Japanese crosshead screwdriver?
Yes, I did.
Because that was a
Yeah.
It made a massive difference, didn't
It
it?
did, yeah. So I didn't realise that most Phillips screwdrivers have the profile of the screwdriver only provides a certain amount of torque, and after that the screwdriver extracts itself from the screw.
Cams out. Yeah.
It speeds up the production process. The Japanese don't use it. It's an American thing, Phillips is. So the JIS, Japanese Industrial Standard Screwdriver, has a very slightly different profile on the end.
Yeah.
To look at, you wouldn't know it from a standard Phillips.
So it doesn't jump out when you get it?
Doesn't jump out, so you can
okay.
get that really good bit of torque. And that made a world of difference to a lot of the fasteners.
I didn't know that.
No.
Didn't know that.
Interesting fact.
Every day's school day.
Yeah.
So apart from the bargain price that you bought it for in the first place, has it cost you much to get to this point?
At the moment, it stands me about £600. So
What, including the...
That was about $250, I think I paid for it from you in the first place. I made about £100 on the parts that are sold. Tyres and the seat is the
They're the
thick end of
expensive bits, I suppose.
£200. Yeah, they're the real big expenses. And then the rest, it's all been... And I've included paint, I've included manuals, fasteners, all the little things, circlips, Jubilee clips, tyre levers, inner tubes, all the consumable type things that I'm going to keep, I've included in there.
Because the exhaust is those old ones that sort of flare out, like those sort of trumpet ones. What have you done? Have you cut it?
So I've cut it at the...
How far do the baffles run down it? All the way down to the double
well,
joint?
it's actually double skinned all the way down from the header.
Is it?
It's double skinned.
Okay.
And then, so I've cut it at a convenient joint, probably about level with the swing
Just behind where the hanger is.
Yeah. And then just got a universal muffler that comes with some size adapters, and then it's just a case of choosing sufficient sleeves that it mounts okay.
Oh, okay. A
Wacky
universal
great
muffler.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
What does it look like? Was it like a little sort of pea shooter sort of thing?
Yeah, sort of tapered.
Okay.
eBay.
Yeah, eBay.
Was that expensive?
17 quid.
Was it?
Yeah. It's amazing how you can find cheap things out
That's
there.
good.
And it looks all right.
Well, I suppose the
looks
thing is,
alright.
you're not making a bike that's going to have to go through all year, are you?
No,
Well, it's a
to
bit of
be
fun,
honest,
isn't it, really?
once
It's
it's
good.
finished,
It's nice to be able to do it, isn't it?
once
Yeah.
it's finished, it'll just be used for pottering around, nip into town. SRs are slow at the best of times. It's never going to
Well,
be.
we both passed our tests on this.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I bought it. I wanted a nice, simple bike. It's single cylinder, air cooled, rod brakes to the rear, drum on the rear, disc on the front. So I learned a little bit of hydraulics, a little bit of mechanical brakes,
One carburettor.
one carb,
Yeah.
very simple electronics, spoked wheels. So you just learn a little bit of maintenance as well. Nice and easy and light to move around the garage. Doesn't take up much room.
And apart from your
Cheap to run.
JIS screwdriver, you haven't really got any specialist tools or anything, have you?
No, I've got a garage to work in. I've got a tool chest with all my tools in that I've collected over the years. I've always tinkered with cars, but it's still basic hand tools, screwdriver sockets, nothing really fancy.
Workshop manuals?
Yeah, I'd really recommend workshop manuals. I managed to get a Haynes manual for it. It's a joint manual with the XT125, so you just have to be careful. Covers all years as well, and they did change the front brake a lot on the SRs.
Yeah, they had
Some
drums
have
originally, and
drum.
the clocks were different.
Some have caliper on the left fork, some on the right fork.
Oh, okay.
So they did tweak them a little bit over the production run. So you just have to be careful on that. I downloaded a workshop manual, found forums are always a great place for these things. There's a French forum that runs the SR125, which is a bit difficult, but you can just about translate.
And them speaking their own language.
Downloaded an official workshop manual, printed that off at my last work before I left, and then keep that in the garage. And that's useful because you get a nice exploded diagram. You can go around and collect all the parts before you start assemble. Make sure you've got everything. You can see which order the nuts and washers and spacers and everything go. So, and just follow that really.
That workshop manual thing, actually, that's a good point. But you have to remember to be really careful, don't you, to watch out that it's not got something that's specific to either to the model. So my Grom was a good example. I got the American manual. I think it might have been the slightly previous model, but I thought it'd be pretty much the same. It came with it went over to ABS, but that's a thing as well. You might have an American version of the bike might not have had ABS, so it'll have different loom.
The wiring's often different because they've got the indicators permanently on, all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yes,
good point.
yeah.
And it's surprising how much difference it can make, especially if you're trying to work out how to wire in something that picks up off of something. But I had it with the Grom where it's my own fault, but I put the front disc back on. I'm obsessive about torque settings. I use torque wrenches wherever I can. So I'm pretty anal when I'm working on my bike, so I like to have the torque settings for everything. What's the torque settings for this? John?
Well, there's tight, red face type, and then hernia type. Hot chip to casualty type.
What are these?
Red face type.
Talked them back in, and it was one of those perfect things where you should think something's not right, just stop. And I was doing them thinking, well, it says that's the torque, and I was like, it's still going. It says that's the torque, and then it was bang, and I was like, oh shit. And I thought, that's it. It's got to, because they're quite small castings on the wheel. I thought, well, that's it. I've done the wheel, so I'm gonna have to buy a new wheel. But when I got it out, it was the bolt, and the bolt had stretched and cracked. So it hadn't completely gone, but you could see it had gone. I was just so lucky, but it's because they're a larger bolt on the non-ABS versions. On the ABS ones, they're smaller and obviously lower torque.
Yeah.
So I bought a new set of bolts, and it did say in both manuals, in that manual and the one that I subsequently got, you must replace these bolts whenever you take them out. But I'll be alright. But yeah, so don't. Torque wrenches are great, aren't they? But I've done it a few times where you just think, well, that's what torque it says it is, so I'll just keep going.
Yeah, follow the manual.
Yeah, but
no.
the manual
Blindly.
Well, the manual wasn't wrong.
No.
I had the wrong.
The
manual.
bike was wrong.
Yeah, the bike was wrong.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, wrong bike. All the right figures, not necessarily in the right order.
yeah. So what you got coming up next?
On the SR, so I've got the engine out at the moment. That's on the bench. I'm not really going to do much of a strip down on the engine. I heard it running at yours, so I don't really want to get involved in that unless I get it all back together and it's not running. So it's really just cosmetics on the engine.
The valve clearances are so easy to do.
They are, There's nice little covers. There's little access covers.
Is it a lock nut and a?
Yeah, it's
like
screw
it's
and lock
like
nut. You don't have to. You haven't got to take the rocker cover off. It's just got two little caps there and there. Take the caps off, and they're there.
Yeah, two little caps. Needs all new gaskets from some of the covers that I've had off. I've had the oil filter out already, and it's just got a universal gauze filter in there. So
you had the air filter out. I saw the air filter.
Oh, the air filter just collapsed as soon as I took the panel off. It was one of these little foam things. I touched it, and it was like just a bag of flour had just been poured in there. So that's coming out. Nice. So I've got a nice little ram air filter, little cone filter to go on that. That'll mess up the fueling. So yeah, really just crack on with the engine, get it all rubbed down, degreased, painted. Got some HT paint to go on that, and get that looking cosmetically smart, and get that into the frame then. So and then it's really just everything else seems to come off the engine, so all the wiring loom can go in. Once I know where everything's going, the wiring loom will go in. Spend my time hiding all that behind the frame as much as I can, and then just adding bits on.
Cool.
So it's all slowly coming together.
ETA?
Oh well, April.
What, this year?
This year. Just April.
There might be some numbers after it, but they could be anything.
And are you going to do anything? Are you going to do anything with the forks on this?
No, I'm going to leave them be for now. I think it's due a service in the next 500-600 miles, really. Right. Just oil and filters. Yeah. So that'll be the next thing. Other than that, I'd like to. Well, I said I'll have a look, see what Fort Springs are going to be. If they're 40 quid or something, I'll get a set and all the bushes. 115 quid they were. So I think I'll be alright as it is for now. Yeah. The clutch it's not slipping yet, but it does feel a little bit warm. But I'm being a bit too fussy, really. I should just change the oil and filters, ride through the summer, and then before the winter comes, I'll just give it another once over. Yeah. I had a winter treatment done, an all-year biker done on it, which my boss does, and they cleans it all, coats it all in ACF 50. Yeah. And that's made a really good difference, because all the bikes at work, the chain, the sprockets, all the exposed metal has turned to fur. It's still dirty, but it's absolutely fine. You can see that it's done its job.
Really good, well, stuff. That's it. When we stripped it off,
I should definitely recommend that every year. I'll be doing that.
Yeah. I do it myself now as well. I'm really anal about doing stuff, but it's not just about keeping your bike looking good. Even if you're selling one, you can. It's something like 60-70 quid.
Yeah, it's about £70, I think.
Yeah, but you can make way more than that on a bike. Take a bike because it looks mint.
It did. It looked lovely when it was done. Yeah, it really did look good.
But so my next job is going to be, our boss Steve has bought a 916, and he's bought it from Fast Line Superbikes in Preston.
Yep.
It is mint. The original plan was we were going to buy one that was a bit knackered, and I'd do it up. But I'm still going to strip it. We're going to do a lot of maintenance projects on it, so that's what we feature in these videos. But it's an import.
It's an early one.
How is it?
Yeah. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's gutting though is we've got to give it away. It's going to be a competition prize.
Is it?
So yeah, keep watching this. We'll tell you more about it. But yeah, Bennett's is going to give it away as a competition prize. So I'll be sad. Yeah. So next time we'll see if Steve's finished his SR.